G'day everyone, Not Sealed here. Today we'll be doing a really easy oil change service on my MT-07. This is a 2019 model, but the process is the same from 2015 all the way up to 2024. And the best part is we can get it done in 4 minutes. The first thing you need to do is warm up your Yamaha MT-07. You can either idle your motorcycle for a few minutes or just go for a ride quickly up and down the street. The oil filter I'll be using is this KN204-1. The -1 just means it's an upgraded version from the 204. Don't forget to use some new crush washers. I have included some links in the description. And you will need a 17mm socket for the drain plug and the oil filter. Remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. The workshop manual suggests changing your oil every 10,000 kilometers or 6,000 miles, which in my opinion is just way too long. I like to change it every year or 2,000 kilometers. You can see this oil is fairly dark and brown, and it's only been in the bike for around 1,800 kilometers. Your motorcycle engine will last longer with regular oil changes. Don't forget to replace the sump plug crush washer. They are cheap and will stop your sump plug from leaking. Although in an emergency you can use the same sump plug washer. I have done this in the past and I didn't have any leaking, but just be aware you might not be able to torque it down properly, and I wouldn't use it more than 2 times. The crush washers have a front and back face, just make sure it goes on like that. Let's go ahead and remove the oil filter. I just use my 17mm socket to remove it again, otherwise you can use an oil filter wrench. Having the 17mm nut on the end of these oil filters is a fantastic idea. Don't forget to use gloves and have plenty of spare rags handy, because changing oil in motorcycles is a really messy job. So we'll let all this oil drain for a minute and then we'll start to bolt everything back on again. So my local Yamaha dealership wanted $400 to do a service and change the oil on this motorcycle, so I said nope, I will do it myself. The next step is to make sure there's no sand or dirt on the seals of the oil filter, and then pre-fill the oil filter, maybe halfway, just with a bit of engine oil, and then lubricate the O-ring. Just use your finger and run some engine oil over the O-ring. This will make sure that installation will be easy and you won't have any binding. Rotate the oil filter a few times to get an even coating of the oil to the internals. I failed to mention earlier that it's important to get your motorcycle level, so I just use this motorcycle rear wheel jack stand to lift the rear wheel up, which centers the motorcycle. Motorcycle rear wheel stands are definitely recommended, as you can do a lot more other services like chains and remove the tires, and just get the ones that go under the swing arm. It looks like the oil has finally stopped draining, so let's clean up the area with a rag and replace the oil filter. The oil filter will go on clockwise. Just be gentle starting it so you don't cross thread it. It should be able to spin by hand easily. To do it properly, you should torque down the oil filter to 17 Newton meters or 12 foot-pounds. Some people say to just tighten an oil filter by hand, but I have actually seen a rider who lost all his oil because his oil filter unscrewed itself. Next step is to install the new crush washer. The flat face goes onto the back of the bolt. The engine oil drain bolt torque settings are 43 Newton meters or 31 foot-pounds. So owning a good torque wrench will come handy in doing maintenance on your motorcycle. But like any backyard mechanic, I'm just going to tighten it with my hand and then crank it down with my 17mm socket wrench. Just don't go full on gorilla hands and strip out your sump. And that, my friends, is the hard part done. All we have left to do now is top up the engine oil. The oil that I'll be using is a Penrite brand MC-4ST Fully Synthetic 10W-40 engine oil. You can use any brand specifically designed for motorcycles with wet clutches. Yamalube is also very popular in these motorcycles, but I didn't want to have to drive over 50 kilometers just to go to the Yamaha dealership. 2.5 litres will be enough to do an engine oil change on your Yamaha MT-07. I used about 2.4 litres. Keep an eye on the sight glass and it should be around halfway in the window. That's about perfect. Now that we've got some liquid gold in our engine, we'll replace the oil filler plug and we'll start the motorcycle again for another maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and then we'll check the oil again. Generally it will require another quick top up. And that is how you do a Yamaha MT-07 oil change.